Turn this thing on here. Good afternoon, everyone. It's 1:30, so I guess I should call this august group of people together and call the meeting to order. So now that I got a gavel up here, so might as well feel. There we go. All right. So I'll start by reading the purpose statement of the Citizens Advisory Committee, and then I'll ask Rick afterwards, why do we do this? Anyway, the primary objective of the CAC is to ensure that capital maintenance and public transportation projects and programs approved by the PPRTA voters at the November 2nd, 2004, November 6th, 2012, and November 7th, 2017, and November 8th, 2022 ballot measures are accomplished with PPRTA funds. This committee reports to the board of directors. Any questions with those statements? Okay, very good. We have a quorum. Tony online. Tony, you're on the bubble from a voting standpoint at the moment. So just to let you know.
Tony can vote as of right now.
He can vote as of right now. Okay, so we have a quorum and that. So do I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented today?
So moved, David Zelenak.
Thank you, David. I have a second.
I'll second it, Ann. Ash.
Thank you. Thank you, Ann. I'll let her take it. Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Hearing no opposed, and seeing none, the agenda carries as presented. Public comment for items not on the agenda. Is there anyone on the committee that has any public comments? Okay, not seeing anybody's hand raised or online. Anybody in the audience have any public comments or not on the items not on the agenda? Okay, not seeing any, we'll move on. We have the minutes in our packet from November 1st meeting. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes or any changes?
Larry Tobias, I move for approval of the minutes from the November 1st, 2023 CAC meeting.
Have a second? Rick approved. Okay. Or second. Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Not seeing online or in the audience. We'll go from there. All right, Lisa, financial reports.
All right, Lisa Corey, Finance Manager for the PPRTA. The financials I'm reporting is for the month of September. We were above the monthly budget by $530,727 or 4.1%. When we look at September of this year compared to September of last year, we collected $10,151 less than we did last year. So that's negative 0.1%. Anyone have any questions?
The negative 1.4. Is that what you said?
It's negative 0.1%.
0.1. Okay.
Yeah, so pretty close to.
I saw the
last year.
4.1 and then I saw the point. I saw anyway. All right, great.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, the big drivers in the economy and sales tax with housing sales and all that stuff are down and so hopefully coming into the holiday season, we'll see something in a couple of months from people spending Christmas money. So thank you, Lisa. Any questions for Lisa?
Mr. Chair, one question, if I may.
Go ahead.
Hey, thank you again for, as always, including the construction cost index with the peculiar text. Could you help us understand it?
That's exactly what it looks like on the CDOT website. So
Brilliant.
I was going to try to correct it, but I don't really know what it was even trying to say. So,
That was my question for you.
Yeah.
What on earth is CDOT trying to say?
that was part of their official report. So
Absolutely brilliant. Thanks to our CDOT colleagues for submitting something which is impossible to understand what they're trying to say. Thank you.
yeah.
Any other questions for Lisa? Thank you, Lisa. All right, so the next item, you want to do the budget presentation, please?
I included a whole new packet for the budget, rather than just replacing certain pages. But since Fountain did not join, all the maintenance figures changed for everyone. So the financials just exclude Fountain now. But that also meant that everyone had to revise their memos to show the new maintenance amount. So other than that, everything is the same in here.
So basically, do we just clarify, we basically took the money that we in the preliminary and allocated to Fountain, and we reallocated that to the other members.
Right, yeah.
All right, Dave?
One quick question, on the Fountain, didn't, not, or voting to not join this August group. Could someone refresh my memory? How close was that vote?
Approximately 54% no, 46% yes.
Thank you. Okay. I looked at some preliminary numbers and it looked a little tighter than that for the preliminarily, but I think there were changes that came in as the final results were polled. Thank you. So close, but no cigar.
Based on our couple of meetings going down there during this process, there's some opinionated vocal groups in the neighborhood. To say it nicely, that just don't like taxes of any kind, period. So,
And this would have been, they would have been a beneficiary, not a donor, right? They would have gotten more than they paid.
absolutely. And the point that was brought out in the meeting that Rick and I attended was that for a lot of the residents are already paying this because they're in an annexed area anyway, and their purchases on all of that Walmart and all that flag annexation they did, and a lot of them, because they don't have a large retail segment in the city limits, they're traveling to unincorporated areas of El Paso County or the city to buy the things, and so they're paying it anyway. So it would have been a total beneficiary deal. But the idea of passing a tax for those that live there or buy there. But anyway, I know that the mayor was disappointed is probably a good word to use. But Sharon was disappointed it turned out. But my guess is, Rick, you probably, or maybe Brandy's more attuned to it, but my guess is we'll probably see it next year come back up on a ballot measure again. So my guess.
Just from past experience, a good rule of thumb I've heard for a Walmart is a minimum $1 million to $2 million a year in sales tax revenue. Now, actual figures are always opaque by state law, but 1 to 2 million, and they've got a Sam's Club and a Walmart.
And they're expanding that whole parking area to the west.
Oh, is that right?
That whole lot, they're expanding that whole area to the west. And so it's just going to be bigger. So it's
$5 million lost. Shame on them.
Yeah. Yep. Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I was just, talking with Dole about just some clarifications here in the budget packet related to Manitou Springs. There is that loan repayment. If you go back and look at our November budget, that was not mentioned at all, but then it was included as part of the new budget update. And I think Lisa said, we needed to put I don't want to put words in your mouth, but we needed to include some information about the budget allocation for maintenance for Manitou Springs. So that was a change from last time when we reviewed that. Talking to Dole, it looks like that, we did that loan repayment, and that was actually approved as a line item transfer back in May. At the time, actually, I did find the record. So it was 100 at the time of the meeting, this is in May, was $106,000, but it also looks like the loan or whatever was negotiated with the Colorado Springs was $87,000. So there is a slight difference there, but what I'm asking for is, and this will be certainly for, discretion, I think, of the member governments here, or at least Manitou Springs and also Colorado Springs, is just to put a footnote and clarification on when that decision was made, and to include maybe some just background information, and just instead of just saying there's a loan and this is the amount, maybe put some more detail in there that could help when we review this. If someone was review this years from now, we would get that context. So thank you.
Lisa, any comments or anything? Dole?
Yeah, it was about the 106,000 that was approved, but instead of just transferring that money, it was that they had access to it if they needed it. And they were I think it was $87,089 over. So I did initiate the transfer just to cover that overage. And I don't think they were anticipating borrowing anymore. I think that was included with Colorado Springs revision as well, that they were going to recuperate that money back. So yes, it is part of the 106,000.
Okay, any problems with making annotations to those effect or some kind of ways? And
Yeah, we can do that.
okay. All right. Do we have any other, Rick?
On the Colorado Springs, on the overpass, the railroad overpass. Is there, if I remember right, the railroad is going to move forward with their own plans on that? And I was wondering, is that going to have any effect on the budget that we have here? That they're gonna cut their own path, stay with what they have? Supersede our plans?
Rick, what page are you on?
This would be page 25.
I can answer that question for you. Sorry, this is Gail Sturdivant, the city of Colorado Springs. Right, not that project is still ongoing. There are actually two separate efforts going on in that area. One is where BNSF is considering replacing the bridge in its current location. We also have a commitment to complete the preliminary engineering and environmental clearance for the overall desired project, which would include a realignment of the track and replacement of the Nevada and Tejon bridges at different locations, along with some quiet zones that would happen in that area.
Yeah, that's what I understood. But I thought that they were going to just go ahead and do what they wanted to do and that we were standing down.
We are not standing down, and all the public meeting information has been consistent that even if BNSF proceeds with replacing the bridge at its current location, that we would continue the preliminary engineering and NEPA work for the full project, which also included two other bridges at Overshook's Run. There will be a new video or this is public information video. It will be released on Thursday.
Okay, thank you. I will try not to bother you. It sounds to me like you would have to get better to die.
You're exactly right. I feel like I'd have to get better to die. Let's be honest.
Well, hang in there, Gail.
Yes. I had one other, is that there was I'm a little confused about the interest rate. On the 23 budget is 500,000. On the 24 draft is 6 million. I was wondering, where did we reinvest our money to get 5,500,000 in interest?
It's in the same place. We are just realizing a lot larger gains because of the interest rates, just because of the Fed rates.
Well done. Well done.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
I'll take credit for it. That's fine. I wish.
We'll put in that request. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, so that actually funded, didn't the interest rates fund our mid-year adjustment?
Yeah,
Yeah, so we didn't take anything out of capital. We used just the interest out of the loan to fund our mid-year budget adjustment. So that's good. Good thing. Yes, sir.
One good thing out of it.
Well, I was going to say that, of course, it's shoots or ladders, right? With the higher interest rates, I've asked around, why is our sales taxes down? I'm good friends with the business reporter over at the Gazette, and it's basically new home sales or new homes because of mortgage interest rates, and also car sales that drives sales tax. So our sales taxes are down because of the high interest rates. But if you have money like we do, and you can park that money into high interest accounts, we'll make that money up. So it's good, but it's also an indication that we're having trouble with sales taxes. So they're inversely related there. So don't want to throw cold water on our interest here, but if the interest rates go down, we're going to see more sales taxes.
No, but it's a nice problem to have when the economy does turning down, is to have that money parked in drawing, because it offsets what would otherwise be reduced budgets for the members. So, yeah, Rick?
By board directive, all of our idle funds are invested with a quasi-governmental agency called Calo Trust. And that's where the city, the county, and all 6 of our member governments park their idle funds as well.
Cool.
Calo Trust.
Cool. More money's good. Any other questions on the budget by anybody over this review? Because this goes to the board for public meeting and approval next week. So any other questions or comments? Dave?
Just a compliment to all the staff. I know Manitou, the county, Gail, the city, Lisa, you, Rick, everybody. This is a lot of work, a heavy lift. It goes on for months. And it's an extraordinary job as always. So thank you, congratulations, and keep up the great work.
Yeah, having spent a career doing this kind of sized budget, this is a lot, and there's a lot of moving parts here. So good job, Lisa.
Yep.
And member governments, because it couldn't, she's just accumulating it, so it couldn't be done without all the member governments. So I support Dave's comment. So very good. All right, so do we have any other detail reviews that we need to look at or anything? Seeing none online. So do I have a motion to approve the 2024 budget as presented? Rick Hoover, Dave,
And second, David?
thank you. Any further comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Oh, Ann, did you start to say something?
Well, I just said good work too. I was late, sorry.
Okay, that's okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion
Mr.
carries. Yes,
One
sir.
quick question.
Sure.
I missed what you said when I was in my car on the way here. Am I voting or no?
You are voting right now,
Okay, great. Thank you.
and we counted your vote in that count. All right. Item number 7, capital maintenance in public. First one on the list is Colorado Springs.
Good afternoon, Ryan Phipps, City of Colorado Springs. You heard Gail, so you don't need an explanation as to why I'm here today.
Our latest TV personality. Yeah.
I've got 7 contracts to present for you. The first one is the I-25 ramps at Nevada Tejon corridor improvements. This is a PPRTA capital A list project. This particular memo is requesting change order in the amount of $565,000 to the SEMA construction contract. SEMA is our CMGC for the project. And what this will allow is for them to procure any of our long lead items for that project. We're looking at installing CDOT signals with that project, and they're looking at a 6 to 9 month lead time on those. And then also we have a really small sidewalk pedestrian bridge. Again, it's a 4 to 6 month lead time on that. So by allowing them the opportunity to procure those ahead of time, we can stay on track with the 2024 construction.
Ryan, I got a question about that project. So is the idea, I know there's a study for that area below the bridge and where the Tijuana, Nevada and all are right. I mean, there's a study there, right?
Concern with transit?
No, isn't there, what's the word I was looking for? Urban Renewal Authority or
Yeah,
something?
the URA. Yes.
Yeah. So what's the bigger vision for that area of which this project is focused on? And how far north is that pedestrian bridge? Is that just to go across the creek and end over on the other side?
Yeah, the pedestrian bridge that we're looking at utilizing on the project is on the north side of the southbound off-ramp as you turn to Nevada. We want to fully utilize the existing bridge so that we don't have to widen or replace that bridge. But in order to do that, we push the sidewalk that's currently on that bridge off. So we need a different location to cross pedestrians.
I can only imagine the volume of pedestrian traffic in
We're
that area.
anticipating quite a bit of pedestrian activity for the
Yeah,
for the
so,
project.
so how does the study of the ramps, the southbound ramps and getting off and in dealing with the traffic on those two major intersections, what is the study supposed to determine the vision, or is there a vision of what we're trying to improve?
Let me try to answer your question. The Wilson and Company did the study of the traffic modeling for the area. And what we found was a lot of traffic, like around 50% are cutting through, which means they're using Tejon to ultimately get over to Nevada.
Right.
So we're reconfiguring it so that the majority of that traffic is hitting Nevada. We're making it as easy as possible for them to make that movement.
Instead of making a turn at the first light, go to the second one.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, we're putting the dual left on
Right.
Nevada and taking it away from Tejon. There'll be just a single right
Okay.
turn there. And then as far as it relates to the URA, I think the exact boundary is right there at Motorway, Arvada Way, and then it heads south. So part of our project, most of our project is outside of the URA, but we do have one block that overlaps with that URA planned area.
Yeah, there is a lot of traffic that gets off, goes one block, and turns left, and that really creates a roadblock on the flow through
Yep.
traffic. So, okay.
Yep.
All right. I couldn't conceptualize what the plan was. So
Yeah,
thank you.
it's implementing things that the city and CDOT have talked about over the course of time. The biggest traffic change that you'll see again is that double right at Nevada, and then at Motorway and Arvada, that signal will be removed, and it will be a right in, right out at that location. There'll be a median through that. It gives more queuing for the northbound Nevadas to get onto I-25 North.
Is CDOT participating in funding part of this?
They're not participating in the funding. They're alongside for all the decision making. They're doing a project adjacent immediately south of Brookside, all the way south, and they're funding a couple signal replacements. So we're all working in the same sandbox here.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Hey, Mr. Chair, a quick question about the project also.
Go ahead. Ed.
Ryan, refresh my memory. There's a displaced left turn southbound to, well, it's westbound or southbound to southbound Nevada to I-25. That stays the way it is, right?
Say that again.
Okay,
So I
if
can
you're
plug it.
southbound Nevada, turning left, which would be southbound I-25.
Yep.
At Nevada and I-25, there's a displaced left turn, which
Yep.
I think is fabulous, and
Yep,
we
that
should
stays
see.
as is.
Okay, good. You're not, okay, thank you.
Don't mess with a good thing.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, you're doing well.
Yeah.
Stop helping.
We're all right. We'll move on to contract
Yeah.
two.
No, go ahead. Thank you. I'm sorry.
right.
Sorry to.
No, that's what I'm here for. Contract number 2 is for the Tut Boulevard extension. This again is an A-list project. I can't remember if it was last month or the month before, but we brought forward on this. This is the follow-up where we are specifically requesting the $580,000 to be utilized for the purchase and use agreement with the property owner. This allows us to advance the project into construction. It is not finalizing the real estate agreement. It just allows us to move forward in the possession and use process. We will come back again, and if we need to seek further funds for the finalization of the acquisition of this property.
No.
Go
ahead, Rick.
Go ahead, Rick, and then Brandy.
I was just, the problem that property owners have with settling this thing, have they given you any indication what the problem is?
I can't necessarily speak to their intention, but
Well, not their
we've
intention, but
we followed the real estate process here to a T to, interact with each one, and we haven't received, as far as I understand, again, I'm not the project manager, but we haven't received a counter offer that we are able to follow through on. And so we're just having to follow the process here of ultimately going to condemnation.
I read that. I just is, when it gets to this point, there's got to be a problem if they want to go to eminent domain. Is there any thought about that little piece that is over there that you're separating out?
Ryan, can I jump in
Yes.
here on this? This is Gail. Rick, due to the nature of where we are with this agreement, there's a very little we can talk about this in public. I will tell you that we made them both an offer and a counter offer that they just came back and denied. Right now, we are just putting in the money in escrow that you'd be approving today for the appraised value of the property. I will tell you anecdotally that this property is ripe for development, and frankly, I think that they are trying to leverage their position to help with some of the public improvements in the area that are needed.
Okay, well, thank you. I didn't realize I was stepping into CIA information.
Yeah. All right, Brandy.
Contract number 3, bridge.
Hang on,
Oh,
Ryan.
I'm
Brandy
sorry.
had a
I
question.
thought you said number 3.
No, you said, hey, Brandy.
No.
That was my question, so thanks, Rick. Sorry.
Oh, it's okay.
All right, go ahead.
Next contract, bridge maintenance on call. Bridge maintenance is performed through on-call contracts. We recently resolicited for services. We received 4 proposals, TLM Constructors, Chanel Construction, Wildcat Construction, and Ability Design Build. The first 3 we already have existing bridge maintenance contracts with. The 4th is a new one to the list, add a little capacity, and they're recently completing another bridge project in the city. We're requesting approval of these 4 on-call contracts to continue to work with the bridge maintenance program. The next contract, I need to correct the dollar figure on there. It should be for $499,248.30.
Not
It's
449 then.
That's correct. It's $499. It's correct in the text, wrong in the summary up top. This is for a contract for the Water Street over Camp Creek Bridge replacement. This is being done in accordance with the Camp Creek and 31st Street Corridor Improvement Study that was created quite a while back. This is to advance that design to construction documents and ultimately construct the replacement of that bridge over the Camp Creek Channel.
Hey, Ryan, a quick question for you on that. I know there's been a floodplain problem in Pleasant Valley for quite a while. And I forget the limits of it, but under the current flooding situation, or at least the one that's been of record with FEMA, homes, several blocks, especially I think to the west of the Camp Creek ditch there, were within the 100-year floodplain. Do you know roughly how this may affect that? Shrink it? Will the capacity be the same? Will they increase the size of the pipe when they do this? Is it pipes? Is it a bridge structure? Help, just give us a quick rundown.
It's going to be replaced with a similar structure, a box culvert. So I am familiar with what you're asking about, but I don't know the details of providing a response.
Yeah, but so it's an in-kind replacement.
More or less, yeah. We're actually going to avoid the massive water lines that run right down the middle, and so the new structure will actually have an opening in the middle of it. It'll split around the intersection.
Is this one of the ones with the big culvert pipes, or is this an actual structure?
Concrete box culverts.
Okay, right now it is. Okay,
right now.
Oh, right
I'm
now
not
it
sure.
is. It is CMP, Ryan.
it is.
It's a CMP.
Okay, thank you. I
All
thought
right.
so.
Yeah,
So
and
you're
then Dave, can I add that the previous project on Camp Creek that we completed up in Garden of the Gods actually provides floodplain relief for some of those folks in the Pleasant Valley neighborhood.
Okay, thanks,
As
Gail.
Ryan was mentioned, the hydraulics stays about the same for these structures.
Okay, thank you.
And Gail didn't, correct me if I'm wrong, but that floodplain relief coming out of the mountains there prior to Garden of the Gods, did I understand that some of the people down in that community were now removed from the 100-year floodplain because of that flood control?
Yeah, yes. And I believe it was about 100 residents, if I recall the number correctly.
Okay.
And the plan is to eventually replace that large concrete culvert going down through the middle of that neighborhood? Or do away with it or something?
Ultimately, that is part of the master plan.
Okay. Because it's in pretty bad repair in some places. But okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
Mr.
I just
Chair,
want,
that's my understanding. It's actually going to be a more natural waterway. In stormwater, I believe is the one that's kind of taking the lead on that. But yeah, those culverts are obsolete. They're really bad for the environment and for erosion control. So some of the interesting presentations that I've seen shows a more natural flow down to Camp Creek. But it'll look a lot better, and it will actually provide, I think, some of the some of the issues here with the drainage and flooding in that area. So
well, it
it's
saves
pretty-
those
pretty-
citizens some money on their insurance too. So
Absolutely. And also, we have the EPA, and, we have to take care of all the
Oh, yeah.
drainages here because with our neighbors down south in Pueblo, and also with the Fountain
Right.
Creek watershed. So it's looking really good.
thank you.
This may be more for Rich, my lady who's not here, than Gail or Ryan, but I think they actually took a section of that to use as a test case, because now it looks amazing. It's got more wetlands in there, more greenery in there, and I think they tried that first and then to see what worked, and then they may eventually go expand the whole way. But if you're driving up there, there is a section of that they are essentially retrofitting to making it look more natural. So
You talking about going up north from 31st
Yeah.
on Colorado,
Yeah.
going from Colorado? Okay.
yeah, if you're out driving around, Jim.
Yeah.
Or
thank you.
biking around. I'll try it. I'll take a look.
Sorry, go ahead, Ryan.
All right, next contract is professional services on call. Back in 2020, the city solicited for professional services in a number of areas. As part of that solicitation, we provided for the ability to add additional vendors as desired by city staff. At this time, city staff has identified 4 new on-call contract vendors: David Evans and Associates, Emprise Concepts, RS&H, and Three Rocks Engineering. And we request that you approve these 4 on-call contracts. The next contract is for regional pavement condition assessment. This is a maintenance contract. This is with Marker Geospatial, and they provide a pavement assessment, ultimately providing a pavement condition index and overall condition index for pavement surfaces. This is done in partnership with the Pikes Peak, America's Mountain, the Parks System, and Woodland Park to provide a bit of a regional approach to pavement management and inspection. Again, this is overall, the contract is for $387,000. We're requesting PPRTA funding in the amount of $347,660. The balance is split between the other participants in the services.
Is there any reason why the county, Josh, can you comment on any reason why the county's not part of this and you guys combine forces, or do you use this kind of a assessment?
There you go. We don't like working with the city, so.
Okay, all right, that's good. That's good.
No, I guess no good reason. I'm not sure they were at least not brought to my attention necessarily as maybe an impacted stakeholder in this one.
Okay, that's
And
fine.
Josh, can I support you on this? You guys participated the last time we did it. I think you're in a different cycle for getting these assessments.
There you go.
There you go. All right, good deal.
All right, and the final contract I have for you this afternoon is for the Academy Boulevard Reconstruction Project. This is for the southern segment, capital A-list project between Fountain and Milton Proby. This is for an acquisition from Capital Corona in the amount of $104,800. It has been approved by City Council as it exceeds 100,000, and we're requesting RTA funding for that amount.
Okay. Any questions on any of the city's contract, Dave?
Yeah, just backing up, Ryan, if you'd be so kind, please help us understand with the 4 on-call engineering contractors, were these part of the 2020 on-call A-list, if that's the right word for it, or short list, or are these brand new ones that were dropped in with a new competitive process? Just walk us through the narrative you had here was a little unclear, maybe at least to me, as to are these brand new, didn't bid in 2020, you needed services? Help us understand the rationale.
Yeah, these are new vendors. They're not part of the original list of vendors that were selected in 2020. They're being added. The process for adding vendors during the renewal cycle was identified in the original competitive process. And so the vendors are required to submit all that documentation to procurement, and it's reviewed by city staff whether or not that's acceptable, and then they're able to proceed.
Okay.
But the process was outlined in the original solicitation back in 2020.
Yeah, and I certainly take no issue with the process. Help us though understand the rationale. Why did you need 4? Because you had, I think, quite a robust list of engineering consultants, I seem to recall, who have transportation skills, geotech skills. Why the need to open this can of worms up?
Yeah, 3 of the 4 of these are providing kind of the general civil engineering services. One of them provides construction management services. So it's a combination of capacity needs and staff needs. You know, people move around from company to company, and maybe a certain consultant does not have the same capacity of a service that they used to. This other one may have more, and so it just helps to ensure that the city has access to all the expertise that they may need.
I'm not sure I agree or understand that answer. I'll probably be voting no on that, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, and Dave, can I add on the scale again? 2 of these folks have some specialized bridge staff that we wanted to have access to.
Okay, there's a good answer, Gail. Thank you. That's 2 of the 4.
Tony?
On the Fountain Milton Proby Academy Boulevard one, talking about the property acquisition, in your presentation here, it says that City Council has approved the acquisition on December 12th, 2023. They have approved it in the future?
So, Tony, this is Gail. I'll respond to that. They've taken to work session and they've placed it on the December 12th consent agenda. These memos are written for the board's consideration, so it just needs to be a correction in the presentation. We anticipate it being approved on December 12th.
Okay, thank you.
All right, any other questions for the city's contracts? Not seeing any online. Do I hear a motion to approve the city's contracts as presented?
With Gail's great answer, I will move to approve.
Way to go, David.
Gail, thank you.
Mr. Chair, did we want to make as presented? What about the number? Sorry, let me go ahead.
Oh, I should say.
Say it's presented, but I think it was just a minor correction.
As amended.
There's a typo in one of the presentations here.
Yep, as amended, yes.
As amended, okay. So I will second that
Okay, very good, thank you.
with the amendment.
Any further questions? All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Not hearing any. Recommendation carries to the board. Excuse me just a second, make a note here. Okay, item 7B, excuse me. City of Colorado Springs, the IGA between the RTA and CDOT. And Gail, this is the one you moved to take away, right?
That's correct.
Okay. I guess we could go back. There's been no action on the part of one of the attorneys. Rick, you want to describe this?
As you recall, at the November 1st meeting, the CAC approved a positive recommendation of the board for the IGA, subject to the Colorado Springs City Attorney Office having no legal issues and the PPRTA attorney having no significant legal issues. Since then, the Colorado Springs City Attorney's Office has completed its review without issues. However, PPRTA Board Attorney Jennifer Ivey does have an issue, and she is pursuing that issue through the city to CDOT. So that's working its way through the process. So there's no new action or new issues for the CAC to address today. So you can either remove it from the agenda, which means you have to amend the agenda, or you can just take no action. Just have a motion to either take no action or postpone it.
Yeah, I would just say that I would like to hear a motion to postpone this until we get an action back and rather than go through the agenda.
So moved.
Okay, thank you, Tony. Anybody second? Thanks, Ed. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, great. Thank you. Item 7C, El Paso County Capital Projects, line item transfer.
The engineer. The county has, it's a single agenda item with two separate requests for recommendation to approve. Both having to do with Fontaine Boulevard Security and Whitefield Boulevard intersection project. We're requesting to increase the budget by $250,000, which would be the first item we're requesting to recommend for approval on. And then we would hope to achieve that by utilizing a line item transfer from Meridian, New Meridian US 24 project. So working backwards, the New Meridian US 24 project is in the process of final closeout. So the remaining dollars in the amount of $250,000 would be a line item transfer into Fontaine Security Whitefield Boulevard intersection project to complete that project. So if you recall, they're two projects, two standalone projects, this one and Main and Security, both separate PPRTA 2 A-list projects, but we rolled them into one as far as design and construction efforts for economy of scale and savings. Yeah.
Prove those separately.
I believe, Rick, that's what
Want us
we
to do
do,
separate
right? We
motions?
approve each item separately.
I believe it could be a single motion.
Okay, good.
Yeah, so we're requesting an increase for the project budget by $250,000 and are requesting to perform a line item transfer to achieve that.
Any questions or further discussion for Josh? So just to be clear, they're closing out one project, got 250,000. They want to move over to another project and need that to complete that project. Okay.
Larry Tobias, move for approval as presented by Josh for both items 1 and 2.
I have a second. Rick Hoover, a second. Any further discussion? Not hearing any or seeing any, all those in favor say aye.
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 Okay, all those opposed? Not seeing any and hearing any, motion carries. Thank you. Thanks, Josh. All right, item 7D, Manitou Springs, Dole?
Good afternoon, Dole Grubenik, City Engineer for Manitou Springs. So we have in front of you a request to buy more EV charging hardware. So at our pool and rec center, we have 5 existing chargers that are not smart. You hook up and use them, so everybody can hook up and use them for free. And we are going to retrofit those with new modern chargers that are smart that the city can oversee. And then we can also charge for their use. So that's what this is for.
Question?
All right, Larry.
So right now, the units that you have, you're not able to charge the people for the use of the electricity?
Correct.
Interesting. Yeah.
Dave, you're the only one that doesn't know it because those chargers are used. Those chargers are used quite a bit.
So Woodland Park comes down the hill.
Right. And also, I mean, it sounds silly now, but these were installed 5 or 6 years ago. And, that was very early on in the phase of this. It was really before these other companies came and have web-based units. We installed fancy chargers at Hiawatha. And so I get I can log in monthly, check the usage. average duration, how many kilowatt hours, how much money they paid. So now we can know this data. So they're just old. And we're going to put in new ones that match the ones we just installed so that I can see all of them in our one dashboard.
David?
Fast chargers now, fast chargers future?
No, so these are type 2. They're not considered fast chargers, although we are doing 50 amp versions of the
Okay.
type 2 chargers. So it's
That's
faster, it's decent. Since all the existing infrastructure was there, we're able to just literally pull the old chargers out, put a new base bracket, install the new ones. So, we're getting to do this for a fraction of the cost it would be to run all that new. So if we did fast chargers, we'd have to have new amps, a new service drop. So we're just kind of retrofitting with the existing services.
Great answer. And if I may also, just a follow-on question, ADA compliance.
Yeah, all of the spots are actually ADA. Well,
Currently.
the two end ones are currently ADA. Yes.
Okay.
Are ADA compliant. It's a good
Thank you.
question. Yeah.
Brandy?
I don't mean this to be a loaded question if it is, but is the amount that you're charging actually paying for the electricity that you guys are giving out?
It's a good question. And we actually spent quite a bit of time. We reached out to the city of Colorado Springs because they have chargers in their facility. And so Colorado Springs Utilities helped them develop a rate sheet. So to represent the actual wholesale cost of electricity. And then Manitou added a percentage fee on top of that to cover our administration. And then like at our other chargers at Hiawatha, we actually are charging an hourly parking rate on top of it because we charge for those parking spots already. At the pool where we're doing this one, we do not charge for parking. So there will not be a parking rate just to cover the cost. So the city will not lose money, but they will gain enough to maintain and manage them. It's in our city's rate structure too.
Any other questions for Dole on Manitou's project? Good deal. As I think I mentioned at the dedication of the Hiawatha Gardens one is that PPRTA is not necessarily in the electric charging business, but we are in efficient transportation business in terms of improving transportation for the public. And so this is a little odd in that from a road or maintenance, but it improves the parking and congestion and transportation by centralizing parking in these spaces. So anyway, any other questions for Dole? I hear a motion to approve the Manitou Springs request.
So moved. David?
So, David, second. Second, Tony, thank you. Any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, good job, Dole. Thanks.
Thank you.
All righty, item number 8A, member government and services. We have transit.
Thank you, Chair. Line Rail Transit Services Division Manager. In your packet is our October ridership information. You can see our ridership on the fixed route continues to go up. Year-to-date information, which is page 91 from in the CAC packet. The year-to-date information for January through October this year, we reached 90% on the fixed route ridership compared to pre-pandemic level. And this again, thanks to the free summer rides, free fare during the summer. And we really are hopeful this ridership will continue to grow. Under the transit highlight section, last month I shared. Yes.
May I interrupt just a second? And you can cover this at the end if you want. It's a significant increase during the summer free travel in June, July, August. Are you guys looking at what drove those people to use free and now don't want to use it when you got to pay? Is there something in there, a lesson learned or something that drove that? And you don't have to have the answer right now, but I was just curious if there's, when you see that big a spike in June, July, and August was similar to last year's free travel in comparison, but that June spike is pretty big. And I was just curious, is there something in there that we can learn from?
I don't believe we were able to capture individual comments. That is something, actually, we're working on a summary white paper of the 3 months. What are the lessons learned and what can we do better? I think one of the areas that we identified, actually two, one was from Carlos, I believe last year, that we are still not able to track is the actual carbon reduction. And this would be a second area that we identified. This is something that we can do maybe by conducting writer survey, maybe before, during, and after. There are reasons. So I don't believe we have the information on that, but it is something that we identified. That
Thank you. That just jumped out at me.
Yeah,
That big
no,
spike.
that's really good.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, John.
So I'm looking at the comparisons and I'm glad to hear that we're up to, you said about 90% of pre-COVID numbers. But the number of boardings is at 90% or so, but our revenue service hours are significantly above.
Correct.
So the actual efficiency is way down.
Correct.
Why do we have that mismatch on increasing revenue service hours when we're not getting the increased boardings to match that yet?
That's another great question. You are actually getting down to the fundamental challenge of any transit system with existing available resources. How do you spread that peanut butter? Is it frequency? More frequent, reliable service will attract more people. This is the core. Normally, a lot of the core service within a city, whether it's downtown or certain neighborhoods.
So it's a little bit of a, if you build it, they will come.
Frequency helps.
Okay.
However, we've also have this very wide area that we are trying to cover. And we have been getting a lot of comments, requests in terms of weekend, evening services, also outer area of the town that we're expanding, that we're not really serving very well. So it's really the balance of we did, especially in the last fall service change in 2022, we added a lot of weekend and evening services, which we see a significantly lower ridership. However, it is meeting a need. Pre-pandemic, during 2010, when we had our biggest service cut around 2009, 2010, 11, our efficiency was up there. Our fare box recovery ratio was about 25%. And we were seeing 25, 26, 27 passengers per revenue service hours. Again, it's efficiency, it's ridership, it's revenue service hours, it's the coverage. That's why we have this table capturing the full picture. So it's not just ridership, it's everything that we see. Yeah.
Hey, Mr. Chair, if I may.
Oh, I'm sorry, David.
No worries. As always, Land, great overview. Congratulations on the bump here. Refresh our memory collectively about what was called at one time, I think, the Google Transit Specification Feed. I have that right, which is now the GFTS. It's the GPS. GTFS. Thank you. The GTFS. I just looked right now. If I wanted to take a ride from here this moment to City Hall, I just entered it in here. Looks like the number 3 bus, which is coming on Colorado Avenue, is delayed 3 minutes. It's one stop ride and you'd be there by 2:37. Not bad. This is fabulous to see that riders, anybody, we could right now enter in wherever you want to go and you can see real time where your bus is, how delayed it is. Help me understand on perspective. Have you been using that? Could that be one of the reasons that the chair's question is difficult to answer, or has this been in place for 5 years, 2 years? Is it last Thursday? I don't take the bus that much, but I'm so glad to see that you're using real-time information. So anybody who wants to take the bus would know it's 2 minutes late and you can take your time getting to Colorado Avenue. So could you help us understand that?
I think that has been in place for a while. I don't remember exactly how many years we've been using it. Yes, we do use Google. Every service change, we push our data to Google, and then they integrate that into Google Map. And we're actually, we also have Next Bus. Where's my Next Bus? That's in place as well. In terms of technology, I think mobile ticketing, making it easier for riders to ride, and also where's my next bus. This kind of integrated information and system is going to help with the ridership.
And that goes back to your point about the ridership survey. Again, back to the chair's question, which is, are you doing a ridership survey?
We
I mean,
are,
what impact is technology having, I guess, is the overarching question.
We were actually really supposed to present the ridership survey by now. However, we're running into some issues with the report and the delivery of the report. We're hoping to share some information with you in February.
Oh, so you've done the surveys, or you're doing the surveys?
Sort of. Yeah.
Sort of, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's why
But you
we're
are
not
doing
ready to
surveys
present.
and you have information you could share with us to answer the
Yes.
chair's question.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Well, that maybe that system that you're talking about, I saw a guy sitting at a bus stop the other day with a Grubhub bag, a couple of Grubhub bags. He was waiting for the bus to go deliver food somewhere. I mean, it was like, doesn't sound real efficient to me, but I wonder how cold the food was by the time he got there. But anyway, it was kind of funny.
Thank you. Good job as always, Lan. Thank you.
Thank you. Under the transit highlights section, I shared some information about our vehicle shortage situation in the last month, a few months. And last month, we did hone into this ZEP downtown shuttle. One of the challenges is we are using Metro Mobility, those white vans, and people could not really associate the white mobility vehicle with the ZEP. So in your packet are some examples that you can see we are working on painting those buses in this yellowish color with the ZEP design. So people can tell that's my bus. And that's all I have. to
Just a
share.
quick question on the Zeb thing.
Mm.
So one of my curiosity questions was in that downtown shuttle, the big bus. What was the ridership on that? I mean, you're justifying a big bus, and if there's 5 or 10 people on it, wouldn't these be more efficient? But you'd have to add more, or I'm sure you're looking at it, knowing you're looking at that.
We are monitoring the capacity. Sometimes it's called load factor, or how many really, back to Tony's question, how many rides per hour. We have improved that since the inception of the service. We're looking at about 5.8 to 6 last time. So those shorter buses are really right sizing.
Okay.
Right sizing, yes.
Good answer.
The fleet with the service. We also have some information on the downtown terminal restroom reopening and Metro cards. We were this close as of this morning. We were planning for opening those restrooms by tomorrow. However, I got report that the drain is blocked and the plumber hit something solid. So depending on how this afternoon goes, we might or might not be able to open. However, we're doing some rider appreciation activities at downtown terminal tomorrow. You're welcome to stop by hot cocoa, and we'll be decorating the terminal area.
Hot cocoa and fresh bathrooms. Sounds like a deal to me.
We received some Metro cards reported problems, and Carlos is one of the riders who helped us with that information. Since August 1st, we identified 22, we received 22 complaints and another 165 more of inquiry, user training, how to use it. Out of the 22 valid reported issues, we are able to narrow it down to 7 scanners, readers. We are working with our maintenance contractor, connecting them to the vendor so they can get started replacing, fixing those. So thank you for reporting that.
David?
I'm so glad you brought up the meth contaminated restrooms there, because it got so much media attention this past spring. It was on every TV channel. It was kind of insane for you all, I know. So the system, as I understand it now, is it will only be open in the future if you have a bus ticket, right? If you're a rider, you have access to the bathroom.
Correct.
If you
And available for the drivers.
and the drivers,
Yes.
obviously, yeah, okay. But so if the general public though is excluded, they got to go somewhere else.
Correct.
Too bad, or buy a bus ticket to use the bathroom.
Correct.
Thank you.
There you go.
Thank you.
Revenue. Go ahead.
You may not know the answer, but I'm gonna ask anyway. Your Metro Ride van pool ridership by month appears to be going down.
Correct.
Any theories on that?
We saw a significant decrease since COVID with van pool service. We have been reaching out. A lot of the riders stopped riding during COVID or continue to not use the service because of the hybrid work schedule, or they got a new job. So that's the
But these
majority.
numbers are all post-COVID.
Those are post-COVID.
Right.
So we
even
have not been,
post-COVID, they're going down
yes,
kind of year over year.
yep. We have not been able to successfully bring people back, attract more riders or.
Do you think they
sustain-
just don't need the ride, or other people taking the rides from you, or you haven't done a deep dive? I mean, I would
We-
love to say that less people need those rides, but I don't know that that's the case. Or they're working from home. Yeah, well, they're
We-
all working from home now.
I've also seen, and it seems like to me, uneducated in this, a increase in the number of people providing this service.
That's what I was asking, yeah.
And other than just through Metro. I mean,
Right.
I see more vans in parking lots that aren't Metro vans.
Yeah, that's, well, we do know the reasons why people left, and a lot of them seem reasonable. I got a new job, I relocated, or I stopped going in the office. So those are the common reasons we receive. However, there could be a market that we haven't tapped into. We have been working with actually PPACG staff. There is a big TDM on transportation demand management program that we're tapping into, and also in our working with PPACG staff, we think there are potentially grant opportunities, and as well as either it's major employers, universities that we are actually in conversations with. So hopefully that helps, but we've also done billboards, advertising, different ways promoting the service. Hasn't just seen that reflected in the ridership.
Yeah, I mean, it makes it hard because I know you don't have the budget like everybody else does. So I wonder if at some point in time, the cost effectiveness may just end up in the private sector, but I guess only
The
time will
good
tell.
news is we do have the ability to right size again the
good.
fleet. So the vehicles have been, most of them that are not being used,
Yeah.
being reprogrammed to
Oh,
ADA service. So the vehicles are not running or parked.
Perfect. Well, you're pivoting with the changes that are coming
Yes.
at you every day. Thanks, Lynn.
Thanks, Lynn. Rick?
Just a quick question. How did you select the school bus color? What? I was wondering why you didn't kind of stick with your normal color,
It's
of
really-
lavender or
But-
purple.
This really meant be a little more orange-ish. If you've seen those ZEP buses, this is a design that we worked with Downtown Partnership.
Oh, okay.
It really pops running downtown with the downtown background and the mountains. So that was the.
Okay, thank you.
All right, good report. Good progress. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Lan on transit? Okay, anybody online? All right, thank you very much. We have the Colorado Springs monthly change order report and acquisition report in our packet. Anybody see any questions or comments they want to make on those? Anybody online? Okay, nobody's raising their hand. El Paso County, same thing, monthly change order property acquisition report. All right, there we go. Quarterly reports from member governments, Rick?
Information item showing the progress on capital projects and the maintenance projects that were accomplished in the third quarter of 2023 as submitted by the 6-member governments. Be glad to take any questions.
Larry?
Yes, sir, Larry.
Eastonville Road Corridor Improvement Project, El Paso County. The paperwork is showing that the schedule summary, the construction is anticipated to start in summer of 2024. But when I look at the project schedule spreadsheet, it shows that that project is not scheduled to start until quarter 4 of 2024. So we're off about 6 months there as far as what one page is showing and what another page is showing. And Josh, that's on page 113 and page 122.
I believe. Sorry, Josh Palmer, County Engineer. I believe the narrative with the summer construction date is the more accurate one. So I think it just may be a revision necessary to the spreadsheet to reflect that.
Okay, all right, thank you.
So I can make that revision and we can amend it for the board meeting next week, Rick.
All right, thanks, Josh.
David, do you have a question?
For once, no, no, Mr.
All
Chair. I do have one closing comment when we get to that point.
Okay. Well, any other questions from anybody on the quarterly reports? I just could let this opportunity to go by that there's a lot of work that goes into this. And by the staff and everybody to keep track of this. And it is a very useful document. Especially for those of us that do engage in some of the social media things about people complaining about things. This is the latest update opportunity. So I encourage you to keep this handy so that when you're responding to a next door comment about all the terrible roads, you can give them the current status. Rick?
Yeah, I wanted to add, when I was reading through it before coming over here, I added
Wait a minute, you're reading while you're driving?
before
okay.
Is that I realized that this is the way you get back into the loop. I mean, we talk about all these projects and everything and everything, but when you read this, all of a sudden it really reintroduces yourself and it gets you back in the loop of your conversations. So it's incredibly valuable. The city and the county and everybody that member governments do a fantastic job keeping us up to date. I want to thank them for that.
And that was exactly just echoing Rick, my point, Mr. Chair, which is I think all too often we don't thank the staff and everybody who puts so many hours into this. I think again, Lisa, you, Rick, Gail, all of you, Ryan, everyone has put so much time and effort this year into this work. This is extraordinary. You folks are professionals. I think I'm not sure you're underpaid and overworked, but it sure looks like we're getting our money's worth out of you. So whatever you're doing, keep doing it. You're doing a fabulous job. And I just wanted to recognize that one last time for the year.
Jim. Yeah, I'd just like to follow on to some of the comments is that these quarterly reports, and I realize that they take a lot of time, a lot of effort, but I think it is really beneficial. Like, for example, when people ask me, what about this project? I don't see anything happening. Well, I've got the information. I can go back and provide that information to those people. And so it's really beneficial from, all the government organizations, how they put this together. I realize it's a lot of time and effort, but it is very beneficial to be able to have this information to where we can get it out to the public when issues come up on a particular project. So I just want to thank all the entities for their efforts on putting this together.
Okay. Anybody else? Anybody online? All right, let's move on to 9A, report of board actions, Rick.
My memo is in the packet. Are there any questions? Just an information item.
Not seeing any. 9B.
Okay, as the CAC is aware, a certain number of the CAC members are appointed by their member governments, and as you can see on the list there, the first 5 members are need to be reappointed. Of course, with the untimely passing of Richard Robertson, the county has started a process to find a CAC member to represent the county and take his seat. The remaining at-large alternates and at-large regular CAC members have been referred to the board subcommittee. The board subcommittee kind of split the group of 5 CAC members into 2 groups. The subcommittee recommended the full board, and the board last month did approve the reappointment starting in January. Ed Dills, Emily Magnuson, and Rich Zamora. They decided to put Rick Hoover and Tony Joya in competition with an advertised openings for one at-large regular and one at-large alternate seat. The advertised date for the closing of the advertisement was Monday this week. So there were 4 additional applicants in addition to Tony and Rick Hoover. So those 6, I sent those yesterday to the subcommittee. That's board chair Randy Helms, board vice chair Carrie Geithner, and CAC chair Jim Godfrey, asking them to suggest some meeting dates and times so that they can hold the interviews with the 6 candidates. I doubt that that's going to occur before next Wednesday. So it'll probably happen later in the month, which means the full board won't hear the subcommittee's recommendation until the July 10 meeting. January, sorry. Yeah, they're both J's. January 10. So that means Rick and Tony, your seats will unfortunately become vacant on January 1st until the board meets. So those 2 seats will be vacant at the January 3rd CAC meeting until the board makes a decision on filling those 2 seats out of the 6 candidates on January 10.
So we're out of the voting then before.
You can attend yeah, unfortunately, you can attend as a private citizen and see what goes on.
Sure.
But just in case the subcommittee does have a meeting before the 13th before December 13, and the subcommittee could decide on making their recommendation to the full board on the 13th, pretty much as a walk-on item. That's still a possibility, but I wouldn't put money on that.
Any comments or questions for Rick on the CAC member thing? Okay. Sounds like we've got of course the incumbents certainly have a in my opinion, I shouldn't probably say that as a member of the subcommittee, but the experience, the one thing that we've run across in this group that I'll mention now because there's more of this category is there are more engineers that work for companies that are employed by member governments. So we could possibly get into a situation, depending on how it goes, that we could mathematically get to a situation where we're not at a forum almost. We'll monitor that as it goes along and see how things go. So good luck to you guys upcoming, whenever that is.
Well, I might add, that was one of the points I was going to use as a selling point. You needed civilians.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Yeah, exactly. All right. Rick, 9C.
So just a reminder that the board approved CAC bylaws state that the PPRTA Citizen Advisory Committee shall select its chair, first vice chair, and second vice chair for 1-year terms at the first meeting of each calendar year. So that will be January 3. You'll need to pick your 3 officers. So you have about a month for campaigning.
But I can't.
All right. Any comments, questions? All right, agenda items for next meeting. I've got one question, Rick. It's been a while. We had a subcommittee at one point that looked at, I guess it's a communication subcommittee that kind of looked at the webpage and the outgoing, public facing stuff. I heard a comment at a meeting recently that I attended that one of the limitations of the RTA website was that you had to dig so far down into the website to get information on statistics and mileage and expenditures and some of that other kind of stuff. Would it be prudent to given the advances in technology since the last time we had that group, would it be prudent to reactivate that group and maybe take a look at what's there? And are there any ways to improve the ability of the citizenry to get to information that they don't have to drill down into it so far? So I was just responding to a comment that was made at a meeting that I was at earlier this week.
I might just add that committee, because consists of 2 members and they're both opportunity of leaving or a chance of leaving the board. So you need to appoint new members.
Well, it doesn't have to be for next meeting, but it's just something, it doesn't, maybe we can put it off till February, but I know it's just happened. It was just a thing I was responding because somebody made a comment and I kind of agree with it a little bit because you have to drill down right far to get to some stuff. And should we improve some links or something that just allows people to drill down a little quicker? So without a whole lot of work and rework. I know you guys spent months in the past trying to redo that thing. But anyway, I just throw it out as a comment. All right. Any communications by anyone, Tony?
So this probably would have been a better thing to put all the way up at the top on, citizen comments, but I wasn't here yet. So I wanted to ask really for city and county, what is the standard put out to contractors on notification to neighborhoods when they're going to be doing work in neighborhoods? I don't want to make this all about my neighborhood, but I had some very big problems this past week and it required me talking to Cole Platt and getting some stuff figured out. When, I walked out of my house at 1 p.m. yesterday and my driveway was torn up without any notice that it was going to happen. So what is the standard and what is the recourse that people have in those types of situations?
Was that on a 2C project?
It was a warranty situation. They had,
Warranty of a 2C project or?
I think it's a 2C project. Pretty sure it's concrete. So along the road.
It's 2C funded. I could see perhaps a standardized, some level of standard for public communications. If it's Manitou doing what Manitou does with their own money outside the PPRTA, that's for them to decide. But if it's a 2C deal, I could support a standard level of something.
So at least from the county's perspective, it kind of depends on the scope and the impact for the project. If it's just if it's doing some curb and gutter on a local street, it's typically, 3 to 5 days to a week notice. If it's a capital project, we usually determine that and discuss that at the pre-con appropriate amount and of advance notice, types of notice. At that point, you usually have a public information consultant on board that works with our internal public information office to get the information out there, with VMS boards. Sometimes we send out flyers, we hit up Nextdoor and Facebook and post the projects on our website, and we send out weekly cone zone reports, not warning, but giving notice of the location of our maintenance crews. And
by mail, or
it's on it's on the website.
For people who don't look at the website daily, do they get a notification in the mail or?
Oh, well, yeah. So I guess maybe I think I'm answering different questions. So the cone zone report is sent out countywide. So we'll say, we're going to spend $10 million on our paving projects. We have 20 locations that we're going to work on. As we start working through the schedule, those will get uploaded in real time on a weekly basis on the website. So direct citizens who are directly affected by it, whether it's closures or detours, we usually, again, depending on kind of the scope, at a minimum 3 to 5 days notice. And you ask questions about any recourse for impacts or damage or work that's incomplete. That is contractually obligated to the contractor to repair, or the general, if it's a subcontractor, to provide remediation or mitigation or repairs, either hopefully while they're out there, if not after the fact, as part of punch list items, things like that. So each of our projects has an assigned project manager, and I believe that information should be provided when information is sent out. So you can either talk to anybody you see on the project site, whether it's the contractor or inspector, a member of the construction management team, but also the project manager from the county can be contacted as well to help facilitate that. Okay. And if all else fails, you can always call me.
I assume it's the same on the city side.
City's practice is going to be pretty comparable to that.
Right. One of the problems that I and my neighbors have run into is that we were having a very hard time figuring out who to talk to. The only reason I was able to get through is because I know you guys. And looking through the websites and stuff, I couldn't find even a phone number for someone to talk to. And like I said, I know you guys, so I was able to reach someone. But that's been a level of frustration for people on my street, specifically this past week, that has hit a boiling point. And I'm a little more vocal than most of them, but there's been a lot of upset people, and I want to know what that recourse is for them should it happen again, because it's resolved now, it's fine now, but in the future, and is there a way to communicate that better? That's all. So
Mr. Chair, if I can just chime in on that. Yeah, we're in the same neighborhood, that I'm probably like a mile and a half away. And I can tell you my neighborhood looks like a construction zone right now. But that's because of all the roofs that are being replaced. And we have MetroNet in there. And I do know, and then we had a crack ceiling. And I kind of had the same experience. Someone would say, hey, what's going on in our neighborhood? We see these signs out here for chip seal, A1 chip seal. What are they doing? And then I kind of, was on Nextdoor, and I Nextdoor, I have a love-hate relationship with Nextdoor, but I thought, yeah, I should be able to answer this question. And I had no idea who to call or where to look up, and I happen to know, we have chip seal, we have crack seal, we have wide crack seal and things like that. But I was trying to figure out where do I get this information about what is going on here. The other thing that's, by the way, causing concrete work and a lot of construction is MetroNet. We have the fiber going in our neighborhood. And one of the things the contractor is doing for MetroNet, and this is through utilities, is that they're carrying up sidewalks and they're having to do concrete work. So when you do a driveway, it might actually has nothing to do with the city. It might be MetroNet or one of the fiber providers. But it's kind of opaque and a mystery. And, I'll tell you what I do. I just talk to whoever's, what are you guys doing today? We're doing this. And I say, who are you reporting to? And it's either city or MetroNet or something. But it's a very, just talk to the guys, the crew out there. But it sounds like you had concrete work that was under city, under the streets, but not MetroNet. And MetroNet has been tearing up sidewalks. So they're doing a lot of post holing and things like that. That's the put in the fiber, and it looks like they're taking forever. It's taking a long time to put it in. But I do share your frustrations there because I thought I would be able to call up a number, bring up a website, and be able to answer what would be a very simple question: what's going on in our neighborhood? And I realized I didn't know what was happening. It just surprise, what's going on.
I might add, we have quite a bit going on in our neighborhood. The city representative contacts our secretary of our homeowners, homeowners association, and she puts out a notice to all of us as stuff is going on. But the city does keep her informed as to what they're doing and how long it's going to take. So if you have an organization, that might help.
Hey, Tony, just to walk this back then, so I understand, your driveway was closed and you had no notice.
Correct. I literally came out of my house and my driveway had been closed,
That's not
and
right.
I didn't know it was gonna.
Welcome home. That's to me, that should drive an explanation, an apology.
Like I said, I resolved mine. But
No. Thank you.
I would like to say that one thing that has improved from a former city engineer's practice of detours. When they're closing a road, they used to just put a detour and point you in some direction, and wouldn't guide you through the neighborhood or around it. It was up to you to go figure out how to get through the neighborhood you've never been through in your life. But at least they're now putting detour signs up. But anyway, so that's an improvement that I've noticed. But anyway, all right. Any other questions or comments? Go ahead, Ed.
For Ryan and Josh, I guess, with construction going on bridges on Academy and Circle, do you anticipate any issues of east-west travel in that part of town? Because with both of them happening simultaneously, I was kind of wondering if they're both detoured or whatever, is that going to be an issue?
I'll speak to Circle. For the majority of construction, Circle has 2 lanes in each direction, and we're going to maintain 2 lanes in each direction. So we won't be reducing the capacity of Circle for the duration of our construction, the way that we sequence that. There will be times when we have lane closures for special operations or a road closure, for demolishing a bridge. We'll probably keep traffic away from that during that time period. But in general, we're going to keep the 2 lanes of travel open in both directions. Right now, we do have it down to a lane in each direction because we're doing a phase 1 traffic construction. But by the end of the week, we'll be back to 2 lanes in each direction. And I did want to mention, I have little cards if you're interested in having more information on the Circle Drive Bridge project, but it's got our hotline or email, a way to sign up for monthly newsletters and things like that.
So if you put aside the fact that the county's portion of Academy is closed right now, long term, our situation is going to be the same. So the bridge over Fountain Creek for the South Academy project, there's going to be some, outside of what's currently going on, I don't expect any closures. There may be a few lane drops, nighttime closures, definitely work zone conditions, but the bridge is never going to be closed. We're not going to be replacing the bridge. All the scour work is currently going on right now. So the impacts to that are going to be front loaded in the project. But outside of what you would typically expect from a work zone, I wouldn't anticipate a whole lot of additional impacts to travel through that corridor.
Thank you. David?
Just a tag on question there, Josh, help us understand. So on the southbound Academy, it's completely closed. Is there any way, I'm sure you've looked at it, to do something what Ryan's doing, have 2-way traffic on the unscoured, on the safe side, rather than doing it's a very circuitous 5-mile detour or something? If you're southbound Academy, you got to wiggle your way through the World Arena and then come out over by the Walmart somewhere. But is there...
Go to Nevada and go south.
Yeah.
So that's what they're looking at right now. They met yesterday. So we're trying to figure out if we can't come up with a quick fix to the settlement issue. So that's the cause of the closure, was as we started getting in and try to address the scour of the bridge piers. It's kind of like you take the Band-Aid off and it starts bleeding again. So that's what happened. So we exceeded the threshold for the amount of settlement that was was allowed. So once we exceeded that, we had to close the bridge. So we've tried a couple of fixes right now. If we can't come up with an immediate fix, the next approach is going to be to have head-on traffic on the northbound side.
You will. Okay. So
Yeah.
you're looking at,
Yep.
okay,
They met
ugly.
about that yesterday. So I don't think the first attempt to address the settlement, which was like a high strength flow fill, I don't think that's going to work. But they are also discussing the potential of micro piles to try to support that and stabilize it. But if we can't come up with an immediate fix, and I mean immediate, like within the next week or so, then the next option is going to be to put traffic onto the head-to-head on the northbound side.
I know that's helpful. The news reports that I saw stated that it'll be, was it February at the earliest, and this detour, this 5 miles circuitous detour on South Academy will be lasting for months, is the news report I saw.
I wouldn't say that's inaccurate. It's probably accurate based on the information that they had, but the detour, we'll come up with a solution where the detour as it currently is not in place for too much longer, whatever that solution happens to be.
Thank you.
All righty, good discussions, good information. And thank you all for your time. If there's not any further ado, we'll call the meeting adjourned. Thank you.